This is the LowcoSports Lowdown podcast. Here are your hosts, Justin Jarrett and Wes Kerr. Hey, LowcoSports fans, welcome to another edition of the LowcoSports Lowdown. I am Justin Jarrett, joined as always by Wes Kerr, and we've got a great show for you today. Wes, we've got some outstanding guests. We're going to talk to Kenny Anderson, once again, the former Bengals quarterback, a legend in Cincinnati. Talk to him a little bit about his Bengals being in the AFC Championship game against my Chiefs. So that's a fun discussion. Hopefully people will enjoy that little breakdown of what was quite possibly the best weekend of NFL playoff football ever. Just an incredible weekend of football. And we got to talk with Kenny about that, which was great. And then we've also got Dylan Kearns coming on. Friend of yours, Wes, and one of the other voices of USCB baseball and softball. They're going to get started this weekend, so we've got Dylan on to preview the season for us. But we've got some other stuff to talk about first. And first things first, let's just check in with the folks and let them know how you're doing over there, how we're getting by this January. How you hanging in there, Wes? It's been a great week for local sports once again.
Oh, certainly. I'm doing well. It's been a great week to be a Loco sports fan and had some weather issues last weekend, the storm coming in, but we hope everyone stayed safe. We had time to binge some shows, watch some exciting football before we got back into action on the court. We actually resumed on Saturday and had a couple great games over there at Bluffton High School. We both got to head over there. What a battle it was. The underdogs putting up a fight on both sides. Buford girls playing very well against Bluffton. The Bobcats coming out on top, and then how about that Bluffton boys squad nearly getting Buford and taking down the unbeaten Eagles, but the firm able to hold on and find a way to win that one. Terrific game, and now they'll face a heck of a test on Friday at home against James Island in the matchup of the last two Region 7 4A unbeaten teams. Should be an amazing atmosphere over there in Ladies Island. Fantastic game that one is going to be, and man, it's been pretty cold over these last few days. So the temperature continues to drop. I think it's going to drop even further in these coming days. So despite the frigid weather, it is already time though for college baseball season in the Loco. That's right, USCB baseball and softball underway this weekend. Actually tomorrow, recording on Thursday, so Friday opening day, and the Sand Sharks taking on Milligan, doubleheader starting off at 1 o'clock, and going to be calling the game with my friend Dylan Kearns. What a tremendous first year it was last season, and we'll get into this a little later, but what a year it was for Ted Faulkner and this team in 2021, making it all the way to the Sun Conference Championship game. I did not think they would be able to get that far and reach that mark there, and not only that, but get an at-large bid into the NAIA opening round. So that was a tremendous accomplishment. Certainly expectations higher here in his second season. I'm very excited to see these guys back in action. My good friend Dylan Kearns and I will be on the mic starting tomorrow afternoon, and we'll have all the action for you on the Sand Shark Game Day Network. So, as you mentioned, we'll have him on later in the show and talk to him about all things USCB Sand Sharks. But can't wait for that, and it should be a great opening day over in Hardyville, and it could be a very big year for both the baseball and the softball program as we get ready to see them take the diamond this weekend.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting out there and seeing some USCB baseball and softball. I think the first full year of being able to recruit to this program, I think is going to be huge for Ted Faulkner. I think he's done a terrific job of bringing in some break transfers, as well as some guys who are coming in as freshmen. Really started to turn things around quickly last year, and I think you're going to see a big jump this year. So I'm really excited to get out there and see those guys. I think the lineup's going to be devastating. It's just a question of how good the pitching is. So we'll see how that pans out, but I can't wait to get out and see some baseball. And, it's starting to be that time of year. It's cold right now, but it's coming around the corner. Our youth team will be picking up practices this weekend and starting to get back in it. So as a baseball guy, it's a great time of year.
And as a Red Sox fan, just so awesome to see David Ortiz, well deserving, get into the Hall of Fame, and the video of his reaction, just absolutely priceless. I mean, his face lighting up when he finds out he's selected to the Baseball Hall of Fame. Just an awesome moment for him and for all of Red Sox Nation.
Yeah, no question. And, lots of controversy there with the guys who didn't get in. And we'll see what happens down the road with like the Veterans Committee and stuff. But, I think There's going to be a debate about that no matter which way it goes for a long time. We don't need to get into all that. We got lots of local stuff to get through, but let's start talking a little bit about some wrestling, because it was a big night in the Loco for wrestling last night on Wednesday night. May River, we expected this. They went up to Lucy Beckham and took care of the Bengals and James Island to wrap up another region title, which was really just a formality. We knew that was coming. But Battery Creek, they had a quite a battle last night. Had to battle back to take down Bishop England and then do the same against Hanahan to capture the Region 8 3A title. They had actually a dual tournament, like a little dual, I guess you'd call it a tournament, more of a round robin, and to determine their region champ, because they had so many region matches wiped out. So they brought everybody together last night. Battery Creek got the job done, beat Bishop England 47-30, beat Hanahan 40-30, and then took care of business against North Charleston 66-18. So the Dolphins are region champs, and this is not a huge surprise by any means, but we knew they would have a battle with Hanahan. It came down to the last match when they wrestled in the regular season, and almost did last night, but Sam DeGroat got a pin in the next to last match to seal it, and the Dolphins region champs, and I think they're going to make a whole lot of noise in the 3A playoffs.
I absolutely agree. What a season for wrestling here in the Loco. 2 region champions in both Class 3A and Class 4A. And man, the Dolphins. I got to catch them in a duel against Hilton Head a couple weeks ago, taking on the Seahawks, and they looked very impressive. I haven't seen many wrestlers be able to pin Zeo Estrada, the outstanding female nationally ranked wrestler, but Sam DeGroat was able to do that. And man, what a fantastic season that he has had. And they've got some dudes who have really dug in this year, and it's really shown now in a region championship, and had to work for it. As you mentioned, some tough battles in this special region tournament bout that they had because of some COVID cancellations. But wow, did they rise to the occasion? Some big time wins over a couple strong teams, and way to go for this program. I mean, I knew they would be competitive. I knew they had a chance to pick up the region title, but it wasn't going to be easy, and they got it done. So congratulations to the Battery Creek Dolphins. This program is certainly on the rise. Sam DeGroat is an absolute star over there, and I really think they have a chance to make a run for the lower state. I think they've got the confidence, they've got the talent in order to do it. So very impressive by the Battery Creek Dolphins, and a team that we would thought would certainly have a chance to get the region title if they beat Hilton Head, and they did. And that's May River as they look to defend their lower state crown, your Region 7 4A champs. And this wasn't in doubt after they beat Hilton Head. It was pretty much the winner of that would decide the region crown. I would have picked May River preseason. I thought they were the stronger side, and we took down the Seahawks in a very close matchup. But this Shark team is deep. Ashley Powell has just done a phenomenal job really instilling the winning culture in this program, and it's really sustained now throughout these last couple of years and continued to grow, especially last year getting all the way to the state championship and lost to Eastside, one of the dynasties here in South Carolina in wrestling. This team is looking like a state title contender once again, in my opinion. I mean, you look at this group, talent across the board, Amelia Mendoza, Isaiah Weissong, Santiago Rueda, EJ Simon, Miguel Cavallero, Gabe Juarez, Chris Snowden. It's a heck of a lineup, and that they put out there and continue to put out there every night. And they dominated once again. I assume they would be able to easily beat James Allen and Lucy Beckham, and they did. They are rolling as we approach the postseason, as we get ready for region individuals. And how about Billy Hall? He's been a heck of a spark plug this year. Just racking up those pins. So could see some big things from the May River Sharks once again as we get ready for some postseason wrestling region individuals coming up. So a lot still on tap here in the wrestling season. It just continues to get more exciting each and every day. And we're going to have some teams and some individuals with some big shots to do some special things in the playoffs, and maybe even pick up some hardware.
Yeah, and we'll have dual playoffs starting next week. We've got the individual starting this weekend, actually, with the region qualifiers. Battery Creek going up to North Charleston, Beaufort hosting the Region 7 4A qualifier on Saturday. So we start that process of weeding them out, narrowing down the field, get down to the final 8 to get to that final state championship site and crown, the top 4 placers. So It's all on the line now. Guys have to get it done, get in the top four each weekend to keep going, and then the dual playoffs starting next week. So exciting stuff coming on the wrestling mats. I think we're going to have a whole bunch of state placers, state champs, and hopefully some teams going deep as well. And we'll have the Skiza state finals coming up as well. So we'll keep tabs on JP2, Carlton Prep, Thomas Hayward, any of those guys who make it onto that stage. But let's shift gears a little bit to lacrosse, Wes, because one of the players that we were super impressed with last season. I believe she ended up being our offensive player of the year, was Anna Farabee from Hilton Head High School. And she is going to sign with Erskine next week. And, as we always say, anytime a kid gets a chance to play their chosen sport at the next level, that's worth celebrating. And Anna, with a well-deserved opportunity here at Erskine, a terrific player who I'm really happy to see her get the opportunity to continue her career.
I'm so happy for her, Anna Farabee. This is a heck of an accomplishment for her and for her coach, Kara Cook, who's done some outstanding work building this lacrosse program here at Hilton Head High. And what a season it was for Anna. She was the catalyst of that Hilton Head offense, who was just spectacular last year. Took games over with her dynamic scoring ability, her speed on drives to the net. They were as good as anyone I've seen at this high school level. I mean, she's got a heck of a shot. Knows how to get open and just looked like a college-ready player this season. What a playoff run that she put together for this Hilton Head team. Just willed her team to a pair of big-time wins over Philip Simmons and an AC Flora to reach the Class 4A semifinals. I did not think Hilton Head had a chance to get to the Final Four in that classification, but man, a lot of it was due to the phenomenal play of Farabee, and man, went on just a heck of a scoring run in both, and she really was the difference. She scored 6 against the Iron Horses, and then 6 again, taking down AC Flora, and was named our All Local Offensive Player of the Year. And what a bright future that she has at next level at Erskine. She'll be signing on Wednesday, and what a pipeline this school has developed with Erskine. I think we've seen a couple players from a variety of sports decide to play there, a couple baseball players. So a nice little connection between Hilton High and the Erskine Flying Fleet over these last few years. And now that the first girls lacrosse player in Kara Cook's tenure to earn a college offer. So that's a big accomplishment for not just Anna Farabee, but for Kara Cook in this lacrosse program. So congratulations to Anna, and looking forward to seeing her back on the field in a few weeks, not too long away from spring sports kicking off.
Yeah, that's one of the cool things about spring sports kids when they sign is, they sign and then they still get to play another
Right.
season. There's something neat about that. I always get a kick out of that because you just kind of go in with your eyes open. It's a little different than like football guys where they're playing their last game before they know if they're going to play another game. So kind of a cool thing. Takes the pressure off for the kid for sure. They can just kind of go out there and do their thing, knowing that the next step is already taken care of. So we got a few other guys who are trying to find their next landing spot, some high school football players who we think definitely belong at the next level, and they're starting to get some offers. Garvin Douglas from May River, the offers were a little slow for him this year. Not surprising because he really did not play as a junior, and that's so important to getting on the radars and getting those offers. So he was kind of having to play catch up after this season, and he's seen quite a few junior college offers starting to come in, which is great to see. I think he's definitely a guy who kind of slipped through the cracks, so the junior college route could be good for him. He could draw some attention that he didn't get coming out of high school, because I think he has Division I athleticism to say the least. But he also did pick up a 4-year offer. I think he's got quite a few offers, and then Trevor Weldon also picking up a few. We talked about him having to wait as a kicker. It's kind of a weird situation for all high school recruits, but particularly kickers right now. The offers are just not out there, but he's gotten a few, including Morgan State, Presbyterian College, and I saw Hampton Sydney come in, which is another place that's trying to recruit the Loco pretty heavily. So great to see these offers starting to come in. I don't think either of these guys is in a huge hurry to make a decision, kind of just waiting to see what filters in, but it's great to see them starting to pile up some offers and have some options on the table.
Yeah, so well deserved for both, and they've meant so much to their programs. what a senior season they both put on, and just awesome to see that work results in those big time opportunities. You work so hard starting in the summer, even back, I mean, years before in middle school and high school, getting the skills that you need to perform at the high school level, and having all the work that you have to do in the weight room, and all that comes with being a high school football player, working all this to achieve this goal of earning these college offers. Just a great feeling for both of these outstanding Loco stars. And Garvin Douglas, what a standout he has been at May River. Picked up some JUCO offers over in your neck of the woods in Kansas, including Coffee Community College and Hutchinson Community College, and then also Lewisburg College in North Carolina. So JUCO schools, they may not be the flashy offers compared to maybe Division I, but what they do is they give you that chance to put your foot in the door. They allow you to prove yourself that you do have the talent to play at that D1 or sometimes D2 or D3 level. And the talent, I think, is certainly right there for Garvin Douglas. I'm not sure if he'll project as a quarterback, but he's got a heck of a frame at 6'4", 205. And he could be a real weapon on the outside. Terrific athlete who is such a powerful runner. He's got the height. He's got the explosiveness to do, I think, big things wherever he lands. And I kind of wish they used him a little more. But before when Ahmad Green was there, maybe use him a little more as a hybrid back receiver, more of a wideout. But he's looking like a potential playmaker at the JUCO level, in my opinion. If he puts in the work, I think he's got a great chance to be noticed. And I think the same is true for Trevor Weldon, who, I mean, talk about a guy who put in the work to become the best in the area at his position. I don't think I've seen a better kicker in my time covering high school sports here than Trevor Weldon. And I don't know if I've seen him miss an extra point. He rarely misses, period. I saw him kick a 50-yarder against Colleton Prep this season. I mean, just incredible the way he's developed that leg, the leg of the Loco, as we called him this year. And, he may be one of the biggest losses on that Hilton Prep squad because of how big of a weapon he was, putting points on the board on a consistent basis so he can get inside the 30-yard line, which is absolutely huge in high school football. We don't have that opportunity with kickers at that
especially
level.
in Skeeza. I mean, there just aren't kickers in Skeeza. There's not very many.
Very hard to come by. But man, he showed off in a couple of big time showcase games. He was perfect on his attempts at the blue-gray game over in AT&T Stadium in Dallas, home of the Cowboys. And what an honor to be able to play football there. And then made both his PATs to help the Loco pick up the Blitz Border Bowl win. And then now he's seen his hard work pay off. A couple of big-time offers, including Morgan State Presbyterian and I believe just yesterday, Lenore Ryan. So what a big honor for someone at a position where it's just hard to get an offer, especially during these COVID days. Very, very difficult to secure your spot at the college level for a position where it's been hard to come by even before the pandemic. It takes a lot for coaches to really take a chance on kickers. So a big honor for Trevor Weldon, and already a couple in the bag. And he's shown his ability to really do his job consistently. And, for kickers, it's all about if you can do it on a kick-by-kick basis, if you can continually make the extra points and knock in some field goals on a regular basis, you're going to have success. And, a lot of it's mental, and he really knows what he needs to do every time he comes out there and just does a phenomenal job. And I think if he can keep doing that, keep that up, I think we'll have his chances for sure to do some great things at the college level, and maybe even beyond that if he keeps it up. So congratulations to both Garvin Douglas and Trevor Weldon, and we can't wait to report on some more signings very soon, as National Signing Day just a week away.
Yeah, and I think you hit on some really important points with Trevor, and I mean, he's just so mentally prepared. The kid has really dedicated himself to his craft and gets it, inside and out. With Garvin, I think with Garvin, you just don't know where he projects. As a coach, you're looking at him going, yeah, that guy could probably get on the field for us somewhere, but I don't know where. So, you bring him in as a project, and we're going to look at him at receiver, and we're going to look at him at, free safety, and look at him in some different places and see where it translates. Because I don't think he's a quarterback, except in a very limited, scope of offenses. Just doesn't quite have the arm, but a terrific athlete, and can definitely help you somewhere on the field. So, you when you're down to the wire and you're trying to fill out your depth chart, you don't really want to throw offers out to a guy like that, when you don't know where he's going to fit necessarily until the last minute. But I think there will be some last minute offers for him. I don't know about NCAA academic qualifications, and whether that is part of why the offers are coming from the JUCO level. But Aaron Rodgers started at a JUCO, and the guy went to Cal, and then became one of the best ever in the NFL. So, that path is still very viable for a lot of people. And Garvin fits the description for the kind of guy who ends up taking that route. And I think it could be very beneficial to him. So, I just hope he finds the right fit for him. And I know Trevor's going to be kicking somewhere, some way. There's no question about that. So, all right, Wes. Well, let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back and talk to Kenny Anderson, the one-time NFL MVP and Bengals quarterback legend, right here on the Loco Sports Lowdown. Hey, Loco Sports fans, we're all about keeping it local, and that goes for pizza night, too. When you've got a craving for the best pie in town, or the best kept secret, their amazing mac and cheese, keep it local with Local Pie. They have 2 locations, on the Promenade in Bluffton and on New Orleans Road on Hilton Head Island, where they serve up incredible wood-fired pizza featuring regional sourced ingredients, and their mac and cheese is the best kept secret in town. And they're committed to giving back to the community and protecting the environment. So when it's time for takeout, keep it local with Local Pie, the official pizza sponsor of Loco Sports. Hey, Loco Sports fans, does your business or organization need a new website or need help drawing more visitors to an existing site? DDS Web Design can make it happen. From simple HTML pages to get businesses online to complex site designs with maximum functionality, DDS has services suited to every budget, and they love working with small businesses and entrepreneurs. They also build year-round maintenance into every package, so your website is always up to date. Check them out at ddswebdesign.com or call 843-931-8668 and tell them Loco sent you. Hey, Loco Sports fans, are you looking to promote your business or organization? You can do it right here with the sponsorship of the Loco Sports Lowdown podcast, the Loco Hoops Report, or the Loco Pigskin podcast. Rates start at a very affordable $50 a week to advertise your event, organization, or business, and reach a loyal local audience that supports grassroots local sports journalism. Send us an email at locosports@gmail.com today to get started. Go Loco. Hey, Loco Sports fans, we are honored once again to have Kenny Anderson, the Cincinnati Bengals legend, one-time NFL MVP, joining us again today. Talk a little bit about these NFL playoffs, and as you can see, we got Bengals gear in the house, we got Chiefs gear in the house. So, we're going to have a little rivalry this weekend, Kenny. But
don't make me come after you, Justin. Don't make me come after you.
I would be totally at peace with the Bengals winning. I'll say that off the top. I got a lot of friends who are Bengals fans, long suffering. I was all in on the Icky Shuffle when I was a kid. So, I'd be fine with it. I would root for them in the Super Bowl, no doubt. But we were talking a little bit before we started recording, Kenny, that we don't remember a weekend like this in the NFL, a divisional weekend where all 4 games were walk-offs, so to speak, went down to the last play of the game. And it was just phenomenal. And especially after that wild card weekend was kind of such a dud. What a great weekend of football.
Well, and then you look at the finishers, it starts off with the Bengals, and all of a sudden, there's an interception at the end. And how about a rookie kicker? Got a 52-yarder to win the game. Looks like we're going to the AFC Championship game. Okay, not a big deal. And, then you watch Brady, and he, again, goes right down, ties up the game, and, LA right down and kicks the winning field goal. And, I mean, it's just, Green Bay, the same thing happens in the snow. And then, in overtime, Mahomes does this. What were there, 3 touchdowns within the last 2 minutes of that Kansas City game?
Yeah, let's see. So the Chiefs went up with about a minute left, right? So Allen got it back with about a minute left and went down and scored with 13 seconds left. And then Mahomes in 13 seconds, which I was telling my son, oh, they're going to squib kick this. They're going to try to run a few seconds off the clock. So he has time for one play. They kick it through the end zone and he gets 2 plays. And once they kicked it through the end zone, I told him that he hasn't watched a lot of football, really. My son, he's 11 and he's watched it casually, but like we were watching it last night together and talking about it. And he said, well, but they can't do it in 13 seconds. And I said, man, if they get 15 or 20 yards twice, they're in field goal range. They got all their timeouts. I've seen stranger things in football, and sure enough, man, he got it down the field. It was unbelievable as a Chiefs fan.
Well,
I had already resigned myself to losing the game.
Played the Chiefs, and they're questioning Zach and going for it on 4th down some of those times, and he knew what Mahomes was capable of, and we saw it on Sunday afternoon.
You got to get every stop you can get.
No question.
Absolutely. But let's talk about your Bengals. What a phenomenal victory going on the road to the top seed in the AFC in Tennessee and knocking off the Titans on, as we mentioned, a walk-off field goal just to cap off a phenomenal game from Devin Mcpherson hitting that 52-yarder. Just take me through this moment and what this means in the history of the Bengals franchise.
Well, I think it just shows a lot the character of the team that they had. Joe Burrow said, I'm tired of all this underdog talk. We're a really, really good football team. We've got really, really good players. We're going to do this. And then I think that confidence carries over at the start of the season. The kind of their mantra was, why not us? And all of a sudden it's changed to, it is us. These guys, I don't know if they're the most talented team in the playoffs, but man, they play as a team. And, Joe Burrow says, they win in a lot of different ways. And last Saturday, it was the defense that came up big.
Yeah, the defense was terrific. You mentioned when we talked a few weeks ago that you really thought if they could improve the offensive line, in the next couple of years, they're going to be terrific. And they definitely had their hands full yesterday. It gave up 9 sacks, but Burrow's got a little bit of a Namath quality to him, doesn't he? I mean, he just has that swagger and that, what are you talking about? We're going to get the job done.
It's a swagger, it's a self-confidence, but it's not a cockiness.
Right.
It's like, okay, we're going to do this. And everybody believes in him when he says, we're going to do this. And, there were 9 sacks and, some on the offensive line and some, I'm sure Joe wished he would have got rid of the ball when he had a chance to. I know there was one in the 4th quarter where I thought they were close to field goal range and he took a sack to get them out of range. But, that's part of the growing pains as well. And, it's they've captured the city here in Cincinnati, and that the Raider game, 2 weeks ago, that was the first playoff win in 31 years for the franchise. So that was at Paul Brown Stadium in Cincinnati, and the crowd was going absolutely crazy. It was a bigger deal to the crowd than the players. All of us that have been in Cincinnati for a long time, that we're weighed down by that baggage of not having a playoff win in 31 years. This group, half of them weren't even born when that streak started. They're not tied down by that baggage. We just know, hey, we're playing football with our friends and we're going to go out and win. And that's the way they look at it.
You couldn't send a text message last time the Bengals won a playoff game. It just shows how important that is and how big this city is intertwined with this Cincinnati Bengals football team, and they showed it once again these last 2 weeks, and just remarkable stuff all the way around. But just talk about this defense and the effort they gave in that divisional playoff win over Tennessee. I really thought the tone was set from that Jesse Bates interception, and then that gutsy 4th down stop late. They picked off Tannehill 3 times to set up that clutch game-winning drive by Burrow, and then the field goal to win it. But just tell me how impressed you were about the effort on the defensive side for your Bengals.
Well, it started in the first playoff game against the Raiders. They've got, the Bengals. I didn't know if they were going to have enough defensive linemen to go out in the field, and they couldn't generate a pass rush. And it's 4th down, and they're on the 10-yard line, and the Raiders are trying to tie the game up. And my God, I'm thinking then they'll go for 2 and may all end right here. And they step in and they make the critical interception. And that defense, carried over, into Tennessee. And I was, really worried, how they're going to stop Derrick Henry. And then, just all of a sudden they come up with a 2-point stop from the 1 yard line. And then it's, 3rd and 1, and they're in field goal range for our kicker, for McPherson, Money Mac. They go for it on 3rd and 1. They don't make it. They try for it on 4th and 1 because they didn't think that their kicker could make it from that far. And we stopped them again. So, the defense just came up big at critical times.
Yeah, I'm a little afraid of that defense going against my Chiefs, but I'm more afraid of what Joe Burrow might do to that secondary if the Honey Badger can't play. He got the concussion protocol last night. So, these teams obviously played just a couple of weeks ago, but having that knowledge and what you saw this weekend, how do you kind of handicap this matchup? What do you feel like are going to be the keys?
Well, I think it's going to go a lot like the first matchup a couple of weeks ago when the Bengals clinched the division and they beat him in Cincinnati. You're not going to stop Joe Burrow from scoring, I don't think. And you're certainly not going to stop, Patrick Mahomes and that Chief offense from scoring. And so I think it's going to be, which defense can come up with the most stops. And my gosh, we managed to keep things under control for the Chiefs offense in Cincinnati. But looking at them last night, holy mackerel, how do you slow them down? I don't know.
13 seconds on the clock, and Mahomes still finds a way to get in the field goal range and force overtime. And then they get the ball and end up winning the ball game. But certainly want to point on that a little later. But I want to talk to you, just continue this discussion about this AFC Championship game coming up. Obviously, tell me about the thoughts that you obtained from watching this past game on Sunday between the Chiefs and the Bills, about how you think Burrow and this Bengals offense, who has really, really elevated their play over these last few weeks, how can they attack this Kansas City defense? And, I think one of the keys could potentially be if you can find a way to keep Mahomes off the field and control the clock. You have a good run game in Joe Mixon. Jamar Chase has been an absolute superstar. So I think the weapons are there to have the opportunity to try to control the clock early on and to limit the amount of times that Mahomes gets possessions.
Well, I think you do what you do. You do what you do that got you to this point. And that's, spreading the ball to his weapons. And, although Joe got sacked, 9 times, he still had 350 yards thrown. They tried to take Jamar Chase away. And all of a sudden, here's T. Higgins coming up with the big game. And then, after that last interception, they tried to double team Jamar Chase, and Joe found him, for enough yards to get us into field goal range for Money Mac. So I think it's going to be a great football game to watch. And, I've played in Kansas City several times as a player and as a coach. That is a tough place to play. The decibel level gets up extremely high there. And, what is this, the 4th AFC Championship game in a row for this for Kansas City? These guys have been there. The Bengals haven't, but I'm telling you what, I'm not going to bet against Joe Burrow.
I don't bet on football games, period. I've got enough stress in my life. I don't need to be doing that. But no, I think it's going to be a terrific game too. I'm already anxious about it as a Chiefs fan. Although, again, I was at peace last night with 13 seconds left. The season was over as far as I was concerned. So, I had already mourned this season, and we got that Super Bowl a couple years ago. So I'd be happy for Cincinnati. But think back to, when you played in this AFC Championship game, which of course was the Ice Bowl and a historic game, but what it meant to the city and what that, how that's going to translate this year.
Well, that was the year we came out with the stripes on the helmets and the stripes on the uniforms. And, it was a big transformation. Forrest Gregg had come the year before. Although we were only 6-10, you knew that at the end of the year we were getting better. So we had a lot of confidence going into that season. And if you remember that 81 season, I got benched in the first game for throwing 3 interceptions in the first quarter. I wish they would have taken me out sooner. But somehow our third-string quarterback rallied us back. We won the game. I started the next week, and we had kind of a magical season. But to go into Riverfront Stadium, and all of a sudden, that's when the Who Dey chant started. That's when orange and black wigs came out. That's when face painting orange and black all started. Banners flying around the stadium. In that AFC Championship game, when it's when you're playing the Freezer Bowl and it's 59 below with the wind chill, some ways you're just trying to survive. But I give our head coach Forrest Gregg so much credit. He made us not only a tough team physically, but he made us a tough team mentally, and I think that carried us through that game.
Yeah, it's just impossible to prepare for a situation in a game like that, but it's all about mental toughness, and I really think this Bengals team has that, and they've proven it now going on the road and winning a big-time playoff game in Tennessee, and I just can't be prouder of the strides that Joe Burrow has made so early in his NFL career. Doing something like this is just so difficult, and I'm just so proud of the quarterback that Burrow has become in such a short time in his NFL career, and just tell me the significance of this, and how awesome would it be in 3 weeks' time in Los Angeles to have a Super Bowl rematch potentially of the Bengals and the 49ers back all the way in Super Bowl 16, and then again Super Bowl 23 with Chris Collinsworth on the call for NBC.
Well, it would be an interesting matchup, and I like our chances in that one. They say it was the curse of Bo Jackson that's kept us out of the winning a playoff game all these years. We hurt Bo back in 1991 out in L.A., and we overcame that curse. And if we get the 49ers one more time, I think we could break the curse of Joe Montana. And, it's just, the attitude of this team. And, I'm sure everybody saw the shots after they beat Kansas City and clinched the division, and Joe Burrow smoking a cigar and doing the little dance, in the locker room. And after they won the first playoff game, they said, "Hey, you going to smoke a cigar?" I said, "No." He said, "Winning the division, that was the goal. That was, a reason to celebrate." They said, "Winning that playoff game, we expected to do that. We got another one next week. This ain't time to celebrate." So, these guys, their heads are screwed on right. They play with a confidence in themselves, and so many times it's not always the best team that wins. It's the team that plays the best, and it's the team that's together. And I give Zach Taylor a lot of credit for the kind of team that he's constructed. Guys that fit in, guys that buy in, and one of the defensive linemen was saying, we're going out at the end of the year. They're probably the only team in the NFL that doesn't have an indoor facility, and it's 4 degrees outside, and we're going out and practicing, and nobody complains. So we got a job to do. Let's go out and let's get it done. And nobody complains about anything. Let's just go out and find a way to win. So I'm just so proud of these guys. And unfortunately, I haven't met most of them. Ever since Joe Burrow's been drafted, the locker room has been governed by COVID protocols, and so I haven't been able to get near the place. So I hopefully one day this off season, after they win it all, I'll get a chance to get together with them, have a beer and a cigar, and really, and start off some conversations.
There you go. Passing the torch on to another ambassador quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals. You mentioned these guys are so young. Half of them probably don't even realize Boomer Esiason was the quarterback for the Bengals. He's just a guy on TV at this point. But you told me a story the other day about that Freezer Bowl, and thinking about Tyrann Mathieu going out last night with the concussion made me think about that story you told me about the Freezer Bowl. You had the heaters on the bench, and you got a little hung up.
Well, we had never seen the heated benches before, and they brought them in from somewhere. And so it's the first quarter, and I'm sitting there and on the bench. Luckily, I've got my helmet on, and I'm sitting on my hands, and they got little slots for your feet to go in, and somebody throws a cape over me. And a couple minutes later, there's a loud roar, and I stand up to see if there's a turnover. If I'm going back in, well, my feet don't come out of the slots. I go down, and the first thing that hits is my face mask, and I'm seeing stars. And I'm calling for the trainer, give me some smelling salts or do something. I can't get knocked out of the championship game falling off the bench. In today's world, some camera would have caught it, and I'd still be on Football Funnies today. But more importantly, I might have had to go into concussion protocol, not even finish the game.
It's a different time for sure, but I always think about. I'm glad that cell phones and cell phone cameras didn't exist when I was in high school, and you're glad they didn't have all the technology that they have now when you took a face plant off the bench.
I tell you, football was different back then. It was not as wide open. I think I would have really had fun playing in today's offenses, looking what Cincinnati does, looking what Kansas City does. And, you give Eric Bieniemy a lot of credit. He's an innovative offensive coordinator. He's learned a lot from Andy Reid, and I hope he gets his shot in this cycle of head coaching jobs.
Man, just talk about this new generation of NFL quarterbacks. We're seeing the end of the career, potentially Brady. We saw Breeze, Roethlisberger, Ben Roethlisberger most likely to retire after this season, Breeze last year. But, man, this new generation of NFL quarterbacks just in the AFC, when you look at Patrick Mahomes, your very own Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, who absolutely played his heart out, and, man, just a
Justin Herbert.
Yeah,
Justin Herbert and Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson.
I mean, there's a bunch of young guys, and I know it didn't end well with Dak Prescott down in Dallas. He's another one that's going to be a real good quarterback. Murray out in Arizona. They didn't finish strong. He had a great first part of the season. So, the old guys are going by the wayside, but there's there's a bunch of young guys to take their place.
Yeah, who do you kind of see as? Do you think that this Allen, Burrow, Mahomes triumvirate could become something like what we had with Manning and Brady, where it was every year, maybe with three of them, it's some combination of the three going at it every year with the spot in the Super Bowl on the line?
Well, I mean, you just look what they've done. Just in the last couple of weeks. Josh Allen just destroys New England in the first playoff game and had a great game last week, gave him the lead with, 13 seconds to go. What Joe Burrow has done. And, let's, not for, Justin Herbert has had some real big games too. Yeah. So, no, there's, it's fun to watch these young guys. It's fun to watch the offenses of today.
Absolutely. We're in for a couple phenomenal years coming up in the NFL with all the talent at the quarterback position. And even you look at wide receivers, like guys like Jamar Chase, Cooper Kupp with an outstanding year for the LA Rams and so many others as well. So a really fun time here, this next generation of talent here in the league. And I wanted to ask you about the ending of last night and of the Chiefs-Bills game. Obviously, a lot of questions on the overtime procedures in the NFL where a team can win the coin toss, march down the field, score a touchdown, and win the game. The other guy doesn't get a chance to see the ball. So just wanted to ask your opinion on the overtime format or whether or not it needs to be changed moving forward.
Well, it is what it is. And I've seen, watching a lot of the talking heads on TV today, they've kind of come up with their own solutions. This is the NFL way of doing it. Unfortunately, it could come down to a coin toss. I've seen it where if you hold them to a field goal, you get your chance to go down and win it. And like I say, that all you got to do is make one defensive stop if, you're Buffalo and it never gets to overtime. So it's, I don't know if there's a fair way to do it, but it is what it is, and I can live with it.
Yeah, I don't love it. And, I felt almost guilty, the Chiefs winning last night without Allen getting the ball back. But I don't think it's as bad as people say it is, in the sense that, like you said, if you go on defense first, you only got to get one stop and then a field goal wins it. So that is kind of that offsets a little bit the idea that the person who gets the ball first has this huge advantage because they can't win it with a field goal in their first possession, but you could. So, I think there's advantages to both sides there. If you have a good defense, you don't mind going first. You get a stop and put yourself in field goal range and win the game. So I don't think it's as broken as people think it is. And, the Chiefs got hurt by it a couple of years ago and it came back to benefit them last night. So it sort of comes out in the wash. But,
yeah.
Well, over on the other side, what do you think about that other game, the Rams against the 49ers? We haven't talked much about that, but you have to kind of appreciate the story of Matthew Stafford getting out of purgatory in Detroit and getting it done and getting that playoff monkey off his back, and now he's one game away from the Super Bowl.
He's looked awfully good in the playoffs, and he's got a lot of weapons around him as well, and a very creative offensive head coach in Sean McVay. So, I think they're the better team, although, San Francisco has handled them a little bit. So I think both games this week are going to be outstanding games. I just can't wait to watch them.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. It's been a treat to watch all of these matchups, and I think that Championship Sunday will be another outstanding day of football here. And just talking about this Rams team, I mean, I think they're loaded across the board. I mean, you look at what Von Miller is doing on the defensive side, along with Aaron Donald, who may be one of the best, not just one of the best in this position, but one of the best players overall in the National Football League. And another one who I think is still not kind of gaining the attention he deserves is just tell me about the season that Cooper Kupp has had at wide receiver. Not only has he been an absolute beast catching balls on the outside, but the job that he has done in blocking all across the board on the offensive end has been absolutely instrumental for what the Rams have been able to do. So just tell me about the season that he has had and whether he deserves to be in the conversation among some of the quarterbacks for the league's most valuable player based on what he has done this season.
Well, you've probably seen him more than I have, except for yesterday. It's been mostly, the highlights that you see on SportsCenter, but I think he's that kind of the complete receiver. He does all the stuff. He's a good blocker. He's a dependable receiver. And, listening to Matthew Stafford describe that winning touchdown yesterday, what did he say? He said, that's a love of the game route. You never get the ball in that situation. And your job is just to run fast and clear people out. And he was awake. They went into a special coverage and, they tried to go to a zero blitz, and all of a sudden, one guy on Tampa Bay forgot the blitz. And so Stafford had just enough time, knew what the coverage was to find, Kupp down the field. So it's just, that's the way it goes. It's they were presented an opportunity and they were prepared enough to be able to take that opportunity and win a ball game.
It's a team game, no matter how well you plan it out. If one guy doesn't do his job, it all falls apart, right? So great job by Stafford there. And I love that quote about the love of the game route. That was great stuff. Well, thanks so much, Kenny, for sitting down with us again. You're always so generous with your time, and especially this week, you're recovering from back surgery. So we appreciate you making a little time and getting on with us, and hope you're feeling better soon.
Well, I tell you, I'm camped out in my brother-in-law's lower level and watching a lot of TV, watching a lot of football, but I tell you what, it was once I got off the operating table, it seemed like the pain was gone. And I still got a few issues that I've got to go through. But the nice thing is before surgery, there was no light at the end of the tunnel. And now I can't wait for the weather in Hilton Head to get good because golf is in my future. And I can't wait to get started again.
All right. We'll see if we can't get a threesome together and play some golf one of these days. But thanks so much for your time.
Come on over to my place at Palmetto Hall.
All right, we'll do it, Kenny, and we'll hit you up again after the Bengals win the Super Bowl, buddy.
Well, no. After they win the AFC Championship game this week over somebody that's got a Kansas City Chiefs jersey on or shirt on, I don't know who that is, but once we clobber you this weekend, please give me a call back.
All right, we'll do that.
Okay.
Thanks so much, Ken Anderson. We'll be right back with more here on the LowcoSports Lowdown. All right, Wes. Well, always a joy to talk to Kenny. I remember when I first moved down here and we had this big contact file at the Island Packet, and I would go through it every now and then looking for somebody, and I'd see some names in there and go, gosh, that guy lives here. And I remember coming across Kenny Anderson's name one time and being blown away. This guy from my football cards when I was a kid who was playing on TV was living here. And that was one of my first introductions to some of the amazing people who live here in the Loco that can be terrific resources. And Kenny has been that for us, just terrific stories to tell and insight to glean from him. And I'm a Chiefs fan, so I can't root for his Bengals this week. But if they knock us off, I'll definitely be pulling for them in the Super Bowl.
What an honor it has been to talk with one of the legends in the NFL once again, Kenny Anderson, who must be getting pretty hyped right about now for this weekend as the Bengals head over to Kansas City for the AFC Championship game. And, as Kenny mentioned, that mentality, why not us? I mean, they just continue to prove people wrong each week. And you just can't say enough about the job that Joe Burrow has done. And in just his second year coming off a season-ending injury, and has just done everything that's been asked of him and so much more. And man, there's something special about that connection between him and Jamar Chase. What a rookie season that he has had, the former LSU connection right there. And what about that 22-year-old kicker, Devin Mcpherson, just ice in his veins, coming in, making 2 50-yard field goals and including a game winner, and just a remarkable story. And I heard if you were looking to buy his jersey, guess what? They're sold out because he's been just a hero for these fans.
Money Mac, as Kenny calls him.
Just so awesome. What a special young man who just has that hunger for the biggest moments. And you can kind of say the thing about that whole team. I mean, they just have that it factor, and going to be a heck of a challenge, though, against your Chief, especially with the shaky play of that line. Had to give a bunch of sacks in that Titans game. But, when you have those weapons and Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins to get the ball too quickly, I mean, you can find ways to move the change. Got to find a way to keep Mahomes off the field. I think in their win earlier this season, they were able to do a good job controlling the ball. They're going to have to do that again, but it should be a great game. What a weekend of playoff football. I mean, the best in my memory. All 4 games ending in walk-off fashion, 3 of them on a game-winning field goal. As a neutral fan, you can't ask for anything more than that for an excitement level. And, some more great games on the way this Sunday. And, a tough ending for Delaney and the Tampa Bay Bucks to see it end that way against the Rams, nearly rallying back from a huge deficit. But I think the best team won that game. So happy for Matthew Stafford having a chance to do something special here after his long career at the Lions, finding some big-time success in LA. So awesome for Stafford. And what a season for Delaney. Let's talk about him. The Bucks have rights to him if they want to extend his contract. And if they don't, I got to think he'll get some interest from someone else. And I'm really impressed by his tenacity. He always put in the effort on special teams. And, when he had to step on defense, he performed very admirably. So I'm excited to see where he goes from here. Still just 26 years old and probably I think at least 3 or 4 prime years left. So I got to think D is right now here to stay in the NFL.
Yeah, I think so too. And like you said, if the Bucks decide to go a different direction, there's going to be somebody waiting to snap him up because, I mean, the contributions on special teams alone were really huge this year. And he showed that he can be a guy that is sitting there on the depth chart lurking, ready to step in and play when somebody goes down. So there's certainly going to be opportunities for him, whether it's in Tampa Bay or elsewhere. But I mean, I'm with you. I'm a little older than you, and that was still the best weekend of playoff football I've ever seen. It was just phenomenal. It was so good that I was at peace with the Chiefs losing that game when Buffalo scored with 13 seconds left. I was just like, yeah, what a game. That's the way it goes sometimes. The guy made a play. But I was thrilled to get the comeback, and that was definitely one of the most exciting finishes that I've ever watched as a fan, not only of my team but of any game. Just an incredible last minute of that game. So much fun. But lots more football ahead these next 2 weekends. I mean, not a lot of games, but a lot of time spent watching football. This weekend and then the Super Bowl in a couple of weeks. So looking forward to that. And whether it's my Chiefs or Kenny's Bengals, should be a really fun game.
I'd love to see the Bengals make it in, but I have a feeling that's going to be Chiefs Rams. And man, wouldn't that be fun? A rematch of that epic regular season game a couple of years ago. Obviously, new quarterback Matthew Stafford in for the Rams, but man, that would just be a phenomenal Super Bowl having those two teams go at it with the star power really on both sides of the ball for each of these teams.
The only people who wouldn't like that matchup are in St. Louis. They lose either way. Either Kansas City wins or their old team wins. So they wouldn't like that at all. But all right, Wes, so let's talk a little bit of USCB baseball and softball up next here on the Loco Sports Lowdown when we bring in Dylan Kearns to talk about the Sand Sharks. Hey, Loco sports fans, we're happy to be joined now by Dylan Kearns, who, along with Wes, is one of the voices of USCB baseball and softball. And Dylan, you guys do a great job with the games over there at USCB. Love listening to you guys on the air. But tell us a little bit about how you got here and how you wound up at USCB and getting involved with the Sand Sharks.
Yeah, it's an interesting journey. I attend the Dan Patrick School of Sportscasting at Full Sail University. I'm an online student there, so it was sort of funny. About a year ago in January, I had an assignment where I had to go out and shoot live sports. And in January, I mean, basically all you had was high school basketball. And so I covered Buford High School. I shot a video there. I was trying to make a hype video. Was my assignment. I had to have two different sports. So last day, I was like, you know what? I just got to reach out, see if there's any baseball available or anything else. So reached out to Ted Faulkner, head coach at USCB, went there, shot the video, and then just started to talk to him. And he said that there was an opening to come be on the air for a little bit and see if I could try out there and see if that'll stick. So it was crazy how it all came together. He actually was from the same area I was. He coached in that area and knew my high school baseball coach up in Indiana, which was wild, but just a great story, and ended up there, and it's been great so far. And I love being in the booth and calling baseball games. It's my dream.
It's definitely a small world, and it's something that another small world thing. It's something that I did in the past because I was a sports information director there for 6 years, and before that, I called some games for the county channel when I was covering the team for the Island Packet. So,
Awesome.
it's been great to watch this USCB program build up over the years, both baseball and softball. I got to cover a NAIA World Series out in Lewiston with the baseball team in 2012, and we hosted lots of opening rounds. But how exciting is it to be around this program right now with the current coaches they have? I think Ted Faulkner did a great job in his first year. I think Cody Yeski is going to be a great hire for softball. But tell us a little bit about the atmosphere over there going into the spring. How excited is everybody?
Yeah, I could tell right off the jump that the atmosphere is huge on the baseball side. They're fired up. They obviously had a great run last year. Started a little bit slow, but the pitching started to come in. You got Blaze Minnick coming in, Tucker Perry about mid-season. That's when it started to pick up, and they started winning games. And down the stretch, they beat Southeastern on a weekend, and then they ended up beating them in the Sun Conference tournament, making an appearance into the NAIA opening round where they stole a game there, scored 5+ runs in those 3 games that they played. So there's a lot of buzz around the team. Ted Faulkner brought in a lot more pieces. He said he's preaching competition. The schedule obviously shows this year. There's about 3 or 4 new teams they added: Augusta, Reinhardt, Georgetown College, Aquinas, just a couple other teams. He just wants to preach competition, and the players are excited. They obviously know that they had a great year last year, but they're not satisfied. And it's a great buzz around the team. And, they brought these pieces in positions where you might not think they're needed. A lot of corner infielder depth, a lot of outfield depth that they brought in, and those were pretty much their strongest areas last year. So there's a lot of competition. There's going to be a lot of changing lineups throughout the course of the season, but I think the baseball team's really fired up.
Obviously still making some last minute final cuts here, but really, really excited about this season. What a spectacular year it was in 2021 for this Ted Faulkner group, making it all the way to the NAIA opening round and getting to that Sun Conference championship game. And that comeback win over Warner in the postseason was incredible. Just really, really proud of that team's resiliency. I remember so many comeback wins, never out of games from the games that I was calling over there with you. And just tell me about some of these new faces that we may see this year. Who are some names to keep an eye on?
Yeah, so one piece, I would almost say he's penciled in as an everyday outfielder. Devin Monroe, I believe is his name. The website hasn't updated, but I saw this kid in the fall, and he's got a great left-handed bat, speedy outfielder, probably a leadoff hitter. Maybe he bats ninth, but gets on base, contact guy, and plays outfield tremendously. So he was brought in about a center fielder. Maybe they move him somewhere in the outfield. He plays the corner, whatever. But he looks like he's going to be a big piece of this team this year. Left-handed bat, kind of reminds me of Kenny Lofton. Could drop a bunt down and get on base, steal a base, all that good stuff. So a prototypical leadoff guy. Then they also brought in another big left-handed bat, sort of like a mixture between Adam Dunn and Prince Fielder. Left-hand stroke, great swing. I believe his name's Jordan Crawford. Jordan Crawford's his name. Big fella. He can hit him out. So that's obviously an area. You got Kyron Russ, you got Alex Humphrey, you got Clint Sellers, but there's also a DH, which is a good thing. So they might pick their matchups there, but he could be a great pinch hit bat late in the game too. But just a big bat. So they got a big bat. They got some speed. Still trying to field the shortstop position. They brought in a transfer. I can't think of his name right now, but obviously losing Tavares Terrell's a big jump there. He's been there for a while and played the position well. So shortstop and catcher are sort of the areas right now where it's still up in the air, maybe second base, but the corners and the outfield look pretty solid right now.
I think that shortstop's Jacob Tanner, if I'm not mistaken, that they liked, JUCO guy. Devin Monroe, speaking of him, I got to see him a little bit in the Fall World Series thing, and he's nice. He was banged up a little bit, and he's still, you can see the tools there. Came from Truett McConnell. I thought, I'm glad you said prototypical leadoff guy, because just looking at the stats, that's what I was thinking about. A 300 hitter, gets on base, steals bags. Great guy to have. I mean, you got to have as many of those guys as you can get. Like you said, pinch hit bat, pinch runner late in the game, even on his day off. A lot of things that he can do for you. So tell us a little bit about the pitching staff, because I mean, that is, you can only go as far as your pitching staff a lot of times. And who do they have lined up to help out on that side of things this year?
Yeah, they did bring in a lot of pitching. Some of it was not available for the fall. Micah Kriegshauser, a lefty that they got about midseason last year, was dealing with shoulder fatigue, so he didn't pitch much in the fall. I don't think he pitched at all, but they expect him back full throttle as they head into this season. But Blaze Minnick was someone that really took over about midseason as well. Just the transfer came over from the Georgia area, and he was throwing strikes. He won an award for the best top freshman pitcher for the week in the Sun Conference, and he was just a great piece down the stretch for them. And the most consistent one, I'd say, in that rotation was Peyton Mcpherson throughout the course of the season. Big right-hander, throws a lot of strikes, and that's what you need. He throws a lot of fastballs. He mixes in a curveball from time to time, but that overpowering fastball just right down, hitting the zone every single time is he was great for them last year. Finished top 10 ERA in the Sun Conference as well. So he was a good piece. Donovan Hunick, sort of a swing man. You have a good bullpen now. You do lose your closer in Eamon Collins. You lose a starter in Matt Malatesta, but they did bring in a lot of arms, a couple lefties, a couple righties. I think Javi Saenz, he's a bigger role this year. He was sort of a middle relief guy that got a little bit of action, but I expect him to pitch a lot. And I asked Coach Faulkner earlier this fall, I said, now that there's no Eamon Collins, is it going to be a revolving door at the closer position, or do you have someone in mind? He said he's got someone in mind, but he wouldn't tell me who it is. So I'm excited. I have a feeling it might be Tucker Dove, but we'll see when the time comes.
Yeah, we saw a little of Dove last year, but certainly you look at Eamon Collins being that reliable closer spot. We'll have to see how they approach that spot this year. And looking at the schedule this year, just tell me about your thoughts on this schedule that's lined up here in 2022, and where are going to be the key games that you've circled, which will be important for the Sand Sharks' success here in 2022.
Yeah, obviously the conference games are still something that gets the blood pumping a little bit. You got Southeastern, St. Thomas. Those are the ones that, you get excited for, because the history between the teams and how fired up they were. And I know that they want to redo against St. Thomas. Obviously this year when they played them, it was early on in the season, maybe not when they were clicking, but they believed. I remember talking to Leandy Castro about April of last year, one of the top hitters on the Sand Sharks, and he said, look, I believe we could beat St. Thomas. I believe we can beat anybody right now, the way that they were rolling. So I think that's something that they want to see, is if they can get over the hump against a team like that. But you got Southeastern on the schedule, then you mix in some NCAA D2 schools. I mentioned Georgetown College, someone like that on a weekend series. You got Reinhardt, Augusta, Aquinas. Like, those are some teams that we haven't ever seen the Sand Sharks play. Mix in Savannah State again this year, and this is something where it's more competition. It's not the midweek throw Johnny Holstaff and see if you can beat somebody. It's all right. We might need a good pitcher if we want to compete with some of these teams. So I'm excited. I think the whole entire schedule is packed, and there's no let up in any of it.
Yeah, I mean that's great to see, and you know you can bring in anybody you want down here because everybody's looking for games where they can get on the grass this time of year. So see a lot of good teams from up in the north that are trying to get out there and play. But you know, you look at the Sun Conference. You know, there's so many powerhouse teams in that league year after year. Who do you think are kind of the front runners this year, and where do you kind of see the Sand Sharks fitting into the mix?
Yeah, I would not be shocked. I'd probably say the Sand Sharks maybe anywhere from 2 to 4, I think is reasonable here. Obviously, with the added competition, I think it's going to fire everybody up. But there are still the top dogs of Southeastern, Kaiser, St. Thomas. Like those are some legit schools in this conference. But I do think that the Sand Sharks are poised. They had a lineup, I believe. Russ, Humphrey, Leandy Castro, Sellers, they all hit over 330 down the stretch. And that was huge for them. You got to get the bats going. I know it's cold when January hits and it's hard to hit as well as it is in April. But if the bats continue to roll the way they did at the end of this year and they get the pitching for a full season, whether it's Minnick, you get Krieghauser back, the transfers start to gel. I seriously think this is a team that could make a deep run into the NAIA potential opening rounds of the World Series or beyond. I think this is a Sun Conference team.
I absolutely agree, and I'm just really proud of the culture that Ted Faulkner has instilled in that first season. Tell me about how much you were impressed by him and what he has brought to this squad, taking over in his first season and doing a remarkable job bringing the Sand Sharks on just a terrific run all the way to that NAIA opening round. Tell me what has impressed you the most about what Faulkner has brought to the table here in this program.
The thing I've been most impressed about is his ability to just take advantage of the situation and just control what's going on. And that's something that a lot of coaches, sometimes the moment is there's always one area that you want to focus on, but his practice schedule. I remember going out there to shoot that first video. He's got everything teed off to certain blocks and base runnings here. And he's like, all right, we're going to put in work and we're going to get the most effectiveness out of our work each and every day. And he's got this attitude that you can only control what you can control, but you can also control your hard work. So going out there, giving it your best and feeding off of each other's competition. I remember sitting next to him as the Fall World Series was going on behind the screen. He's like, man, I love this. He said, this is the best out here. He said, they're just going at it. They're scrapping. He said, they're fired up. They're ready to play. He's like, and I get to sit back and watch and he said, this is what makes this job so much fun. It's just the competition of it. And that's where I think he's done a great job, is making sure everyone still feels safe. They can come to him about anything. And he still realizes you got to put in work if you want to play. And he's doing a great job so far.
I love that control what you can control and let go of the rest attitude, especially in baseball, because there's so much you can't control in that game. And attitude and effort are two of the ones that you can, and that's what we tell our 11-year-olds all the time. But speaking of attitude and you know, the atmosphere, what's it looking like on the softball side now with a new coach, Cody Yeski, coming in? It has to be an exciting time. Always exciting when you get a new coach, but new blood in there, and that's a team that has a good foundation. So what do you expect from them this season?
Yeah, the softball team, it's a new voice, obviously, with Cody, and then they bring in Allison Owen, a pitching coach as well. So that's going to be a new thing for them. One thing I realized when I look at the softball team, a lot of seniors left. Rachel Frankhauser got on base a lot. A couple other pieces on that team have left. Bree Dunn, a big piece of that offense. And then it's just – There's a lot of moving pieces, and you know there were some freshmen that played last year, whether it's Devin Weller, who impressed in her first year, or Zanaya Hampleton, who played a little bit. But it's a loss of the seniors, and it's gelling in what the new coach is going to bring. Cody Yeski coming in here, a lot of freshmen on the roster, a lot of second-year players on the roster, and if you look, the only two seniors on the team are Charlie Shepard, a pitcher, and Juli Garcia, who just tore her ACL and is missing the 2022 season. So there's no really senior on the team. So it's a do or die atmosphere here with the young teams, which could be good for a first year head coach. She gets familiar with them and they can continue to gel as a team as they continue on.
Absolutely. A really young team. You mentioned just one active senior. on the roster right now. So there's certainly some great young talent to build on across this group. And obviously, I think one of the big factors is pitching and replacing two standouts from last year. When you look at Ali Maraskin, that amazing transfer they got, who had a spectacular year, and then Maria Malasso, who was just that reliable arm who could come in and just shut the other team down. Tell me about what the plans are for pitching. I'm sure Sierra Belinsky, she saw a little bit of time this past year. Tell me about some others that we could see more at the forefront going into this 2022 season.
Yeah, the pitching right now is going to be something we truly haven't seen. Like we've seen Kate Toole, we've seen Libby Carey, a couple of other pitchers get some time, but it was Maraskin and it was Malasso for the entire season last year, just going out there and taking the reins. And then you did see a little bit of Belinsky, obviously phenomenal story there with the no-hitter in her first start. That was huge, but she's going to have a lot of, I wouldn't say pressure, but she knows that she could be the ace of the staff and could take the ball whenever's needed. So I think she's going to have a big role on this team. They also brought in Taylor Floria, a transfer from Blanchester, Ohio. She's a junior. I think she'll have a big role this year. And then going back earlier, I talked about Kate Toole. I think she will pitch a little bit more. Libby Carey, obviously. And then there's some other pieces they brought in. I can't think off the top of my head right now, but it's going to be a lot that's going to take a little bit to see how they work out there together. But it's going to be a lot of Sierra Belinsky, I feel, this year.
Yeah, a very solid pitching staff last year. So yeah, we'll see how that comes out. But Belinsky was terrific last year and a great story. Who are some of the newcomers that we might get to know here pretty shortly? Have you seen any standouts that we're going to be very familiar with in a short period of time?
I do know. I talked to head coach Cody Yeski, and I asked her. I was like, "All right, who has impressed you?" And obviously, she wasn't here last year, so she couldn't attest to people that she's seen play before. So everybody's new to her. But she said freshman Taylor Van Housen, outfielder. She said she's looked very good. Harley Walker, a catcher/utility transfer. She looks good so far. And she said it's sort of going to be like Harley and Leah Stegall at the catcher position throughout the course of this season. So a little bit there. And also Addie Reynolds. She said Addie Reynolds, another catcher. She's going to have a big role on this team. And those are the three main ones. If you look at Van House, Reynolds, and then also the transfer Madsen, those are going to be some big pieces. Harley Walker as well, as they come through the course of this year. I think when you look at it, it's going to be a lot when it comes to playing time. You still got J.C. Coleman in year 2. You still got Amber LaCastle at shortstop, who is still dealing with an injury. I'm not sure about her status coming into this season, but there's a lot of pieces that are still there. It's when I look to someone that is remaining consistent on this team, it's Ashlyn Alty, the third baseman, finished with a 7-game hit streak to her season, got a hit in every single game of the conference tournament. So that was good for her. But outside of that, it's a lot of young, it's a lot of new, and it's going to be interesting to see how they gel throughout the course of the year.
Yeah, Alty was really impressive down the stretch. I believe had a big walk-off hit late in the year. So I really liked what I saw from Alty. And you look across the board, Devin Weller had a great freshman season.
Yeah.
Zanaya Hampleton will be a big-time piece in the outfield. Tell me about the growth of some of these players that you're expecting to see this year step up in this 2022 season as we move forward. Certainly some great talent across the board, and I'm really excited for what Yeski is going to do here in her first season.
I think someone that can progress the most, and I'm going to say, I'll make a bold prediction. She hits 2+ home runs this year. I'm going to say it's Francie Gaskin. Francie Gaskin, she's got a great swing. It was just a little bit late last year. And one thing that Cody Yeski's preached since she's got here is she wants to hit. She wants to hit every single day. They've been hitting 4 times a day, or not 4 times a day. They've been hitting 4 days a week, individually coming together and hitting again. So they just continue to hit constantly. And that was something last year. I mean, you look at the schedule and the stats from last season. A lot of these games were 2-1. 3-1. All the victories were low scoring, 1-0 shutouts. So trying to get that offense back is a great strategy, and building off of that. But I think Francie Gaskin's poised for a big breakout year this year. Left-handed bat, one of the few on the team. but she's got a big power swing, and I think Cody Yeske bringing her in and teaching her exactly pitch recognition and some of those things that could speed up that bat speed a little bit more could definitely improve her. And I expect her to go pop off big time this year and progress well.
I'm curious about the coming transition to Division II, NCAA Division II, and the Peach Belt, and just kind of what the feeling is over there. I know it has to be exciting, but also like how do you see that transition going? How do you anticipate that it will impact recruiting and how things operate at USCB, as well as the competitiveness? So how do you see them fitting into that league?
Yeah, I think they'll gel well. I think it's going to be a smooth transition because of the sense that they are already adding some of the teams right now on the schedule. So baseball and softball adding a lot of Peach Belt teams, or at least D2, and women's soccer did the same thing last year where they started to add some of the teams that they will be seeing down the stretch. So not only does that help with in terms of competition and getting ready there, but it helps the coaches get familiar with each other and get established and learn exactly who they're going to be working with throughout the course of the years to come when they come together. So I think it's a great feel. I think they'll gel well. I did notice here on the softball side with Cody Yeske that she did add a lot of D2 teams as well, but it's hard to get a lot of home games. I heard from the SID Mitch Meagle. He said it's hard to get home games as a first year head coach. So it's going to be a lot of traveling for this softball team this year. Believe they only have. I think it's only 10 home games this year, and a lot of the rest are on the road. So the softball team is going to be traveling a lot. So, but I do think the transition is going to be well. It's going to go over smoothly, and I think the added games against these teams can only help.
Yeah, obviously a very important time here for USCB athletics as they make that transition. Tell me about the future, the vision for what you see from this USCB athletic program heading into this new chapter across all sports. Obviously, baseball and softball have been huge, but women's soccer certainly has been on the rise. You got a great golf program, cross country and track have been tremendous. So just tell me about what you're most looking forward to about the future of USCB athletics as they make a transition up to another tier of college sports.
Yeah, I'm actually excited that they're going to be adding a basketball team. That's something that's going to happen. Obviously, when you go up to the D2 level in the NCAA, you have to add a basketball team. So I'm excited for that. But to your points on the other teams coming up in all the other sports into this next level, I think it's going to be great as they transition up. The golf program you mentioned has been very good. Women's soccer, I know Jay Harris is head coach. Jay Harris, he's always fired up and excited for more different things to come his way, and he loves not necessarily adversity, but he likes challenges and he loves to get over the hump. So I know that he's excited for going to the D2, but I think it's a great move for the program as they continue to progress as a school, and also could help with recruiting big time when it comes to the D2 level, especially on NCAA.
Well, Dylan, just a couple of weeks until the season gets started. So, we're going to be hearing your voice a lot on the broadcast, and hopefully get out to the ballpark and say hi a few times too. But thanks so much for sitting down with us, and we'll definitely have you on a couple more times throughout the season to keep us posted on the Sand Sharks.
Sounds good. Thanks.
All right. Best of luck to you at the Dan Patrick School of Broadcasting, man. That's great stuff. And we'll catch up with you down the road. Thanks so much, Dylan.
Yeah, no problem.
We'll be right back with more here on the LowcoSports Lowdown. Well, Wes, always great to talk Sand Shark baseball and softball. I've been covering that program since the very beginning. Was covering it for the Island Packet back in the day when they launched, and then worked out at USCB from 2011 to 2017, and actually got to cover that NAIA World Series trip out to Lewiston, Idaho one year, and quite a few opening round tournaments on both sides. So I love talking Sand Sharks, and I love listening to you and Dylan call the games, man. I know you have to be excited for this upcoming season.
Absolutely. Just one day away. First pitch coming up on the baseball side, 1 o'clock. And, I cannot wait to get back on the mic with Dylan and start calling some games. And should be a fun spring on both the baseball and softball sides. And, I think expectations are sky high for this baseball program. They bring in a number of big-time names from last year back, including a couple strong hitters like Leandy Castro, Kyron Russ, Clint Sellers, just to name a few. I think this offense has some terrific potential. Adding in some big additions like Devin Monroe, who could be a heck of a leadoff hitter, like Dylan mentioned, with his speed, great contact, knows how to get on base. I think he can crack up this. I think he can crack this lineup on a regular basis very quickly. Jordan Crawford, another one to keep an eye on. Infielder with some big time power. I really like the look of this offense with, some solid speed, some bats that can get hot. I think the pitching should be very improved. Certainly may have some holes in terms of the bullpen. They did lose their ace in Matt Malatesta. They lost their closer, Eamon Collins, who could be a big loss, but they bring back a couple key pieces, Donovan Hunick, Peyton Mcpherson, who are both excellent. They got some guys in the bullpen who can make some big impacts. So, and they have some great depth, and they brought in a bunch of transfers who I think certainly can be impactful, especially on the pitching side. So I think Ted Faulkner, I think he'll have a lot of reliable arms to lean on in some big situations. And I think the potential is there for another Deep Sun Conference run. I agree with Dylan. I think they finish in the 2, 3, 4 range with a chance to grab the top seed if everything breaks right. And potentially find a way to get into the NAIA tournament. Of course, some big competition, even on the Sun Conference side, with Kaiser, Southeastern, and a couple other top squads like St. Thomas. I'm sure USCB wants to get them back. And then on the softball side, I think it's a kind of a rebuilding program, a new coach in Cody Yeski, but certainly some potential. I expect some growing pains early on. They play a lot of games on the road this year, but they'll have a couple at home early on in the season. They did lose some key talent from last year, especially on the mound. And you look at what Ali Maraskin did, absolute star last season. They lose her, they lose Maria Malasso. So those are two big pieces no longer on this team, and could be really tough to find that reliable player. And softball, you can ride a pitcher for a whole game and sometimes even part of a doubleheader, even more than that. So definitely tough to lose that pitching talent. But some key returners on the offensive side, Ashton Alty, Francie Gaskin, Devin Weller are really exciting me. Zanaya Hampleton, she's a really speedy outfielder with a solid bat. I think the offense needs to take that next step. A little inconsistent last year, and with the pitching kind of unproven right now, I think they could have some work to do to get to the level that they want to. But that's the purpose of those first couple games, those non-conference games, to really build yourself and find a way to kind of grow as a group, especially with a first-year head coach. So I think Cody Yeski is going to do a great job, former Gamecock star, heading back to the Palmetto State after a great 3-year stretch over at Austin P, and now ready to take the reins of an up-and-coming program, transitioning, of course, to the Division II level, the Peach Belt. So really excited for the future of Sand Shark baseball and softball, and should have some great highlights to call this spring.
Yeah, if you can't get out to the games out in Hardyville, you can always catch them on the Sand Shark Game Day Network, and pretty good chance you'll hear Wes on there, either on the PA or on the play-by-play, one way or the other. So support the Sand Sharks, our local college team. Starting to see more and more local kids going out there to play, and hope that continues to develop as they transition to Division II, because I think there's a great opportunity there that is a win-win for the community both ways, as far as USCB starting to put some more people in the seats with some local players, and also just building that affinity in the local community. So we'll definitely be reporting on the Sand Sharks extensively, and hopefully you can get out to some games and support them as well.
And basketball on the way soon as well, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I don't think they have the formal plans in place yet. They're trying to secure funding for some kind of an arena, which is an ongoing process that's been going on for years and years. There have been numerous proposals at various times to try to get some kind of a convocation center on campus, similar to what they have at USC Aiken, but it just has not come to fruition yet as far as finding the funding sources. So they're still working on that, but definitely basketball needs to be a part of the picture as they move into the Peach Belt and Division II. And so we'll see what develops as far as an arena on campus goes, but that would be a tremendous development in the growth of USCB athletics, and I think really is the missing piece that really brings people on campus and starts to build that true affinity in the community for our local teams. Because baseball and softball, fantastic, but not for everyone, especially as a spectator sport. A lot of people find it slow and just can't really get into it. And they play out in Hardyville. It's a tough venue to attract people out there. If they haven't been out there, they don't know what to expect, and it's just kind of they're a little hesitant. But I think getting on campus would be tremendous. I think that's helped with soccer and certainly would help with baseball and softball and obviously basketball. So big things ahead at USCB. We look forward to the continued growth of that program. But before we get out of here, Wes, let's name our teams of the week, and you always get the first crack at it. So who are you going with this week?
I'm going to go with the Buford Academy Eagles boys basketball team, and what a run for Nick Field and this group. 22-5, and we're still not out of January. It's been a heck of a season, and it's been fueled by a pair of young stars and those oranges, of course, as the Eagles continue to dominate Region 4 2A, and Amarion Wilson, just a freshman, but he is looking like a seasoned vet out there, a big man who he can do so many things for this Eagles group, and rebounding, strong defensive closeouts and blocks. And Soli Gay, who has been a heck of a catalyst for this team, finding ways to score the basketball and play with that high intensity on both ends. And how about Braden Dineen, who has really turned it on these last few games, had a big performance against Hilton Head Christian Academy, and he's really been able to keep it going over these past few Skiza region games. Really impressed by his athleticism. Of course, he's shown it on the football field. And Gavin Midyet's really helped out in the front court. It's just not. There's more to this team than just Amarion Wilson and Soli Gay. And this group is playing some terrific team ball. It's showing once again, and just got their first win at Bethesda Academy, which has been a tough place to play. They just got their first win at Bethesda Academy, which has been a tough place to play in over 5 years. So they brought a hot start to another massive region win, and they held down Josh Quarterman, which is not easy to do. Held him without a point in the first quarter, who's having a standout year for the Blazers. And, how about the play from Devontae Green and Jackson Porter? You may recognize those names if you follow their football coverage this year. Two phenomenal running backs, and now they've become high-energy glue guys who combined for just 1 point, but were incredibly important to this team's success through their effort, especially on the defensive side. There are things you don't see in the box score sometimes, and these guys are impressing with their hustle and doing it all for their team. And this group has clearly bought into their Nick Field, and I think this could be a very special next few weeks for BA as they go for that 2A minus the flex region title.
Yeah, and I don't know how long it's been since they beat Bethesda, because I went and researched that, and on Max Preps, the game history only goes back to 2015, and I couldn't find one between there and here. So if it happened, it was before 2015 that they won at Bethesda. So it's been a good while. That was a very nice W for them, and Bethesda a little down, but BA continues to get it done night after night. I really like the depth on that team, and obviously Hilton Head Prep was a little too much for them to handle, but they won't have to see them in the playoffs. So I like that BA team a lot. For my team of the week, I'm going to go with that Battery Creek Dolphins wrestling team, winning the region title in impressive fashion. And what I like about this is, they had 4 guys go 3-0 last night: Riley DeRay, Elmer Linares, Sebastian Sanchez, and Drayshawn Brown. And that doesn't include, possibly their best wrestler, which is Sam DeGroat, who bumped up a weight class and wrestled a very good kid from Bishop England and lost a tough decision. But one of the things I really liked about the lineup last night, and we haven't seen the Dolphins in action in a couple of weeks because of COVID, they've got some guys who have gotten down a weight class from where they had been, and given them some flexibility in a dual match where they can flip-flop DeGroat and Linares at 120 and 126. They can flip-flop Israel and Sanchez at 45 and 52. So they've got some flexibility in that lineup that really allows them to play the matchups, and especially if they win a flip, could be a really big advantage for them against a lot of teams. So, I like this team a lot. They're ranked, I think, 11th in the state going into in the most recent rankings, but there's a new one coming out next week, and I think they'll be moving up. And we got to see how this bracket shakes out, but I think they've got a chance to make a good run.
Yeah, I expect a top 10 spot for them for Battery Creek after winning that region championship. And you mentioned that consistency, 4 guys, 3-0. That's outstanding to see. It's not just Sam DeGroat. They've got some depth. They got some talent across the board, and they just continue to get better and better as we head into the postseason. DeGroat, he's been an absolute superstar. As I said before, I mean, continuing to get better each and every day. He's been there for a couple years, and man, I'm just so impressed with his hunger out there and his ability to be able to find a way to pick up pins and make his team better and be able to practice against him certainly is helpful for that entire group. And, the challenges of that weight class in terms of having to mix and match can be very difficult, especially in these high stakes bouts, but they were able to find a way to get the job done here, picking up wins over a couple of quality teams and having to bounce back after some COVID pauses. Not easy to do at all. So I'm just so proud and impressed of what this Battery Creek wrestling program has done. And I think they can make some big time noise as we get into the playoffs. And how about this wrestling season? We got 2 squads that have a chance to go deep, and maybe even 3 with Hilton Head High alongside May River. And now Battery Creek wrestling. Man, it's going to be a fantastic postseason here in the high school league for our Loco squads.
Yeah, I would definitely not count out Hilton Head in that postseason either. They're going to be a handful, and they're a tough matchup for May River. So they could give the Sharks problems in there as well. And looking at the bracket, Battery Creek's going to definitely have some trouble if they make it to Gilbert. But Gilbert is on the opposite side of the bracket, so they wouldn't see them until the lower state finals, which is a really good thing for them. And they'll probably run into Camden at some point too. A really tough team, ranked 8th in the state. Battery Creek actually at 10th right now. They're going to have some tough matches in the lower state, but I think it's very possible that they could win 2 or 3 matches and maybe even advance to a lower state final. And who knows what happens in one match with Gilbert. So looking forward to that. Alex Rutherford doing a terrific job at Battery Creek and just getting more kids out there and coaching them up, and they're doing a great job. So love to see it. Hope that continues. All right, Wes. Well, that is going to do it for today's show. Lots of good info in there. Great interviews. Thanks so much to Kenny Anderson and Dylan Kearns for jumping on the show with us. Thanks to our sponsors, and thanks to you for listening or watching wherever you get your podcasts, on YouTube or on the County Channel. That's going to do it for this episode. Thanks so much for joining us, and until next time, go Loco.